Wait for the people to get in the building. Peace and blessings. Love and light. Hopefully all is well in the community. I am your brother, Amanashi, master teacher / student of natural sciences. Okay, and today we'll be covering the topic of immunology, and we're gonna get into a little biology, a little hematology, a little chemistry, and a little bit of physics, and get into the fun facts. 101 with Brother Omnis. We missed last week, so we got some stuff to make up for anyway. Let me see. All right, so let's get into it. Trying to wait for the people to get into the building, but we ain't gonna wait too long. Let's give everybody a chance to get in. Okay, let me see. Okay, so yeah, like I said, today we're going to be covering the topic of immunology with Brother Omnis. Now, I'm an independent researcher. That's why I consider myself to be. Put a lot of time and energy into this research and into studying, and to make sure that I'm very critical and observative, in my research, regardless of who's talking, who's teaching, because at the end of the day, I'm a seeker of truth, and I'm here to decipher the truth. But anyway, I see some funny business when it come down to this, to some of the practices and the regulations, with the modern medicine, in modern medicine, and so my conflict with it is that I feel there is a political bias. Okay, just like there's a political bias in history against people of color, there's also a political bias in medicine, and this is why people go through a lot of illnesses and suffering from a lot of disease with foods, and these industries are corporations, of individuals who collectively put these things together, and promote these philosophies and promote this way of life, that we indulge in every day, not even knowing, being oblivious to the fact that, these people have taken it upon themselves to study chemistry, to study physics, so when they put things on the shelf, they already know how it's going to affect the body, they already know. So it's up to us to get knowledgeable so we can better, so we can make better decisions as to what we choose to indulge in. Okay, at least everybody deserves a choice. Everybody deserves a chance to at least make their own choice. The choice shouldn't be made for you, but when you're ignorant to the fact, they're making the choice for you, brothers and sisters. So we got to tighten up with the information, and tighten up with the unity too. You feel me? But like I said, this is a segment courtesy of Omnivision EDU, and me, myself, Omnis, Brother Amanashi, and this is another 360-degree cycles of light, right? And so in the past few weeks, we covered the Rh factor for one thing, and the Rh factor is a blood DNA marker present in some modern humans, which is also found commonly present in primates as well. And they call it the rhesus factor. So we learned that. We went over the positive versus negative, how to make that determination. When you go into the ABO blood group study, you have blood groups who possess the Rh factor, and you have blood group that does not possess the Rh factor. Okay. Um, so we went over how to make that determination. Okay. Then we also went over genotype and phenotype. We know that genotype, which is gene type, meaning gene type, which translates into phenotype, which are the physical characteristics and traits. So gene type is the genetic material, which translates and transcribes into phenotype. And physical traits is our physical appearance, who we are, biologically. And so the genetic material is like coding. It's responsible for the final result. You know what I'm saying? So we went over that. Cell structure and function. We understand that there are cells present in certain blood groups that are not present in other groups. Okay? And the blood transfusion incompatibility, we went over that as well. And we came down to the determination that a blood transfusion incompatibility is simply a chemical reaction of the body to a foreign substance. Is an immune response. An immune response is the reaction of the immune system to the presence of a foreign substance. Okay? And this is where you have the incompatibility in transfusions, because all groups do not possess the same group types of cells. So we know that in cell biology and hematology, there are different groups of cells. So your blood type is based upon the type of cells present in your DNA. Okay? So hybrid versus original. We also went over that. And we know that the hybrid is the byproduct of two pre-existing species. Okay? A hybrid is the byproduct of two pre-existing species, meaning that it could not exist without its biological predecessors. Okay? So it's a new species of organism that is derived from speciation. Okay? And that is where the parent species pretty much creates the prototype, or it is pretty much the prototype for creating new types of species. When you combine genetically distinct species together, okay, you get a hybrid. So yeah, so that's what the Rh factor is all about. Hybrid versus non-hybrid genes. Okay, so in hybridization, there are genetic defects which occur, and these genetic defects is the result of a unnatural process. Okay, hybridization is unnatural. For example, humans possess 23 chromosomes. Okay, when paired with male and female, that produces 46 chromosomes. In primates have 24 chromosomes. Okay, when paired with male and female, that is a total of 48 chromosomes. Okay, so you understand that the Rh factor is a blood DNA marker commonly found in primates. We understand that there are humans who possess these genes, these same DNA markers. So when you have an incompatibility in blood transfusion, when there's whenever the doctor has to give you a ROGAM shot to keep your immune system from attacking the baby, from trying to procreate with people that are not of your same biological group or your same genetic group, there's things that that happen that is pretty much come down to a negative autoimmune response of the cells. Okay, so these chromosomes do not match in Rh positives and Rh negatives. Okay, so Rh negatives have no primate DNA, meaning that these individuals have 23 chromosomes apiece, 46. So there's no incompatibility in reproduction. But when it comes down to an individual who has primate DNA, there's a mismatch in the number of chromosomes. And that's when you get, these other genetic deficiencies, So, you have to, things work in an orderly fashion. In nature is a design, is a system. You know what I'm saying? So we got to keep that in mind, brothers and sisters. Let me see. So we know when you look into um, the study, we can clearly see that there's a difference between Rh negatives and Rh positives. Okay, so we have different biochemistry. Okay, for one thing, we're dealing with immunology. For one thing, the Rh negatives are not hybrids. Okay, so Rh negative means that the primate antigens are not present in these individuals. So these individuals are not hybridized. So they have no immune deficiencies. And when you look into it, they have two antibodies. And antibodies are immunoglobulins. And immunoglobulins are immune defense mechanisms. So they are a part of your immune system, and they defend your body against foreign invaders, foreign objects, and substances. Okay, so this particular blood type, which is the O blood group, whether positive or negative, is one single group. They have no cellular abnormalities. Okay, no antigens, only antibodies, and antibodies are immune defenders. So they have protein-based biology. Okay, now, like I said in the last live that I did about the antigen is a toxic pathogen which contaminates the surface of red blood cells, okay, and is commonly found in these primates. So individuals who are A blood type are Rh positive. People who are B blood type are Rh positive, okay? That's A antigen, B antigen. People who are AB blood type have both, so they are also Rh positive. And this is because of the cell structure and function and the correlation between the antigen in humans and primates. So some humans do share genetic heritage with primates, you know what I'm saying? And some humans do not, such as, African people. So let's see. So yeah, even for example, when somebody says Hispanic or somebody is Spanish, when you think in your mind, I've seen Hispanics who are light, I've seen Hispanics who are dark. Okay, now given that these individuals are from a geographical location and they share the same landmass and the same culture and speak the same language, technically these individuals are not the same. You can't classify this individual as Hispanic because that is not the genetic coding that's responsible for that biological entity. Now, they may share culture, but that doesn't change genetics. Eminem is a rapper. This is black culture, but at the end of the day, he's not a black man, so that's not dealing with your genetics. You are what your genes say that you are. You are your genetic coding, okay? Genetic sequencing. This is like, God pretty much using the universe as, a networking programming software, to create things and put things into being. So you are your genetic coding. Your blood type is based upon your chemical and cellular composition, black people. So there's no such thing as race. If you are melanated, you have melanated cells. Your cells can be traced to the same origin as every other single melanated person. And every individual that does not share our phenotypical group as, what you would call Negro or African, these individuals have different cellular composition than us. So that's what makes the difference. Okay? Your cells. You are your cells in an evolved, mature state. All organisms begin the beginning of the evolutionary life process as sperm and egg cells. Okay? And I know this is a Friday and a lot of people is out, having a good time. But, Omnivision EDU is about, the holistic perspective, and I respect your choice to, to do what you want to do, but at the end of the day, we still dealing with oppression. We're still dealing with this system, of oppression as black people. And so we need to come up with solutions And I just believe, being too comfortable ain't even good. You feel me? So whenever you get a chance, tune on in, take a seat, let's build, let's get into this education, and let's empower our people. Okay? So let me see. So the logic of vaccines, black people, right? The logic of vaccines is to boost the immunity of people who are immune deficient. So that's why I was talking about the ABO blood group study earlier, and about the Rh positive, Rh negatives. The O blood group has 2 antibodies. The A blood group has 1 antibody. The B blood group has 1 antibody as well. The AB blood group has 0 antibodies. So out of all these blood groups, the antibodies, like I said, are immunoglobulins, immune self-defenders, okay? Immune self-defense mechanisms. And this group, the O blood group, has 2. So they have the strongest immune defense. So when you understand this about blood, and you understand this about genes and genetics, why would individuals come up with policies and regulations to generalize DNA when it comes to vaccines, but decide not to generalize DNA when it comes to somebody donating or receiving blood? Because when they want to receive blood from someone, they make sure they take it upon themselves to ensure there's a match between the biochemistry. But when it comes down to the prescribing medicine, when it comes down to diet, foods, when it comes down to the chemtrails that we see every day, these are things that are not in the favor of Rh negative people, who has natural biology, because these are not hybrids. These are naturally occurring organisms who naturally derive, okay? So hybrids and parent species are totally different, okay? One is original, one is not. And that's what we're pretty much dealing with. So when you understand that, we cannot generalize DNA, people, okay? Because when you generalize DNA in the blood transfusion, people die. People have died, okay? Animals have died, just experimenting with it, because it's really primitive to give the blood of one species to another species, because they're 2 different organisms. The genetic information is different. So it only makes sense that it wouldn't work, but they take it upon themselves because they know that these things matter, okay? So when we go and get these immune boosters or get these vaccines, why do we not have a system in place to determine whose immune system is weak and whose immune system is not? Because based upon this biological study, they're saying that the O blood group has 2 naturally occurring antibodies, and the immune system is stronger than other individuals. So I don't see why they would generalize DNA, but that could end up hurting people, who might have didn't need vaccines. You feel me? So gotta be logical, gotta make sense, man. So genetics is the study of hereditary. It's a hereditary process in which parents pass certain genes on to their children. So when people come up with diseases can derive through, through being inherited. It can derive through consumption, okay? And that's pretty much it. I mean, either it's going to be inherited or it's going to be through lifestyle and consumption. So the Rh factor is something that is inherited, okay? Genetic deficiencies is something that is inherited through the blood, through the DNA. All right? So don't let them fool you guys and just make you believe everybody is sickly. Everybody has a weak immune system, because that's already been proven not to be the case. The antibodies is the proof. Okay? Follow the antibodies and it's going to take you to the source. But yeah, man, the antibodies are DNA proteins. Antigens are not proteins. I've even heard a video where they were saying antigens are like sprinkles or something like that. Like, you know, they was trying to like make it sound like pleasant, like nice or something. You know what I'm saying? But antigens are pathogens, okay? Bacteria, fungal based cells, okay? And it's commonly found in animals. So humans shouldn't have that. Okay? It's just very, very simple. Um, so it's standard procedure and protocol for blood banks to determine blood grouping for all recipients and donors in order to ensure reliable, accurate, and safe blood transfusions. Okay? So microbiological research and experiments have been conducted to develop through biochemical engineering techniques to create a safe way for Rh negative mothers to deliver Rh positive babies while avoiding the Rh incompatibility between antibodies and antigens. Okay, so in the example, or the situation of an individual procreating with someone that is not of the same ethnic group, this is what occurs. Okay. Some people have went through this. Some people might know what the ROGAM shot is, where they pretty much hit you with the antigens, with live antigens, and the antigens are supposed to suppress the antibodies from attacking the antigens in the baby. So if the mother's Rh negative and the baby's Rh positive, her antibodies will then try to attack the antigens of the baby. Okay, and that's called RH. That's called what is it? It's called hematologic disease of the newborn. Yeah, hematologic disease of the newborn. Yeah, that's what it is. So let me see. So if you are a pregnant mom who is Rh negative, you may be given the ROGAM shot. Okay, Rh incompatibility happens when expecting mom is Rh negative and the baby is Rh positive. So ROGAM is a medicine that stops your blood from making antibodies that attacks the Rh positive baby's blood cells. So ROGAM is a sterilized solution made from human blood that contains a very small amount of Rh positive factor in the serum. It's a serum. These DNA markers keep the immune system from making permanent antibodies against the Rh positive blood. Okay, so through microbiology, this is a method and a technique that was created to suppress the antibodies from attacking the fetus. Okay, so the immune system recognizes the baby as a foreign object or substance. And we know that an immune response is the reaction of the immune system to a foreign substance or a substance that the body recognizes as alien. Okay? So it's the same thing. This is from the incompatibility in the blood. So everybody is not genetically the same. So it's bogus. It's preposterous, okay, for someone to generalize DNA because you're harming people. Your primitive thinking, your primitive methods of medicine is harming people, okay? So whenever you're prescribed a medication, the doctor is supposed to base the medication upon your biochemistry, okay? If the doctor gives you a medication that is not in agreement with your biochemistry, you can have side effects. You can be harmed. There can be permanent cell damage. Okay, so you guys most definitely want to look into your blood type, know your blood group, okay, and get more in tune and more knowledgeable about the things that are best, for you, because mainstream medicine, they may not inform you about these things, okay? Because like I said, there is a political bias against people of color, okay? In my studies, that's what I've come across a lot of political bias in my studies, trying to understand why is there no medicine for people of color. Maybe this type of method is just not for people of color, just in general, period. So anyway, let's get into another example of this, incompatibility between genetics. Okay, transplant rejection is when the organ recipient immune system recognizes the donor organ as foreign and attempts to eliminate it. Okay, so transplant rejection is when the organ recipient's immune system recognizes the donor organ as foreign and attempts to eliminate it. Like I said, the immune system is a reaction of the cells to the presence of a foreign substance. So even in that situation of the organ being rejected, you see the immune system is responding negatively. Okay, so this is proof of the incompatibility in genetics. This is why you don't generalize genetics, things like this. Okay, so this even applies to vaccines and immunology as well. Okay, we're dealing with the immune system and the biochemistry of the human body. Chronic rejection which is characterized by gradual loss of organ function, which is an ongoing concern for transplant recipients. Considering transplant rejection can occur weeks, months, or even years after transplantation. So an individual could get an organ transplant, and within weeks, that organ can begin to go into a state of rejection. Okay, the cells can begin to reject their organ within weeks, months, or even years. Okay, after transplantation, because their organ is not yours. There's somebody else's body parts. Okay, you shouldn't even be trying to, be worried about somebody else's organs, like that. That's why I never signed up. Like, they tried to get me to sign up for my license back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Like, did I want to be an organ donor if something happened? I'm like, nah. Like, if I sign it, you feel me? They might just, try to, try to railroad a nigga, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, on some old agent type shit. Make something happen to where they just steal your organs. Like, y'all, you remember what happened to old buddy Kendrick in South Carolina, the young boy with the dreads. Like, they found the man stuffed with paper bags inside of him and everything. All his organs gone. So you don't sign that. Don't never sign no shit like that. Because you supposed to be in my best interest. You supposed to be worried about my health, not me dying so you can steal my organ. Like, it's just not even showing good intent. But anyway, yeah, so transplant rejection, that's something that happens from the incompatibility between people of color and people not of color. Okay, and that's pretty much what that is in a nutshell. So let me see. Let's get into red blood cells. So another thing, red blood cells are one of the primary cells that's present in the human anatomy that is responsible for the regulation of the human body. So you have red blood cells, in some cases white blood cells, blood platelets, and blood plasma. Okay, so red blood cells, red blood cells are pigmented cells. Okay, cells of color. White blood cells are non-pigmented cells. Okay, so the higher your RBC concentration, the greater your pigment of melanin. Okay, so individuals with low RBC count, according to the American Skin Cancer Association, is said to have low pigmented or pale skin. Okay, due to having a low RBC count. Your RBCs is directly responsible for your level of pigment. Okay, so keep that in mind. Individuals who have higher RBC count has greater pigment. And what are RBCs? Red blood cells. So let's get into red blood cells. Red blood cells are oxygen carrying transporters of the body essential red blood cells remain healthy to serve this function, okay? So adequate nutrition for healthy red blood cells includes a diet fortified with iron, okay? What is the chemical composition of a red blood cell, of the hemoglobin? What is it? Iron and oxygen, iron oxide, okay? So, like this, right here it says it. Adequate nutrition for healthy red blood cells includes a diet fortified with iron and oxygen. When red blood cells are not functioning properly, they can lead to disease. So you want to keep your red blood cells healthy, and you want to feed those cells, like Dr. Sebi said, cell foods. We'll want to feed the cells the right things. Okay? Now, our cells are networking units of matter that is responsible for the collective system of the body. So you take care of your cells, and your cells will take care of you. And that's how that works. Take care of your car take care of you. Get you where you need to go. Same thing with the body. All right? So, so one such disease, such as anemia, right? Let's get into anemia. What is anemia? This is when the body has too few red blood cells. So this is when the RBC count is low, meaning there is not enough oxygen being transported to where it is needed via the bloodstream. Okay, it's a lack of oxygen to the bloodstream. So when you don't have an adequate amount of RBCs, red blood cells, it pretty much depreciates your oxygen count. Okay, so oxygen is a part of the molecular structure, the compound of hemoglobin. So the more hemoglobins you have, the higher your RBC count, the greater the oxygen count in your blood. So to lack RBCs is to depreciate in oxygen. Call it deoxygenation. Okay, so this is bad. This is something that you don't want. So this can lead to fatigue. So this is an effect of low red blood cells. Fatigueness, see, low energy. So you're not receiving the electricity that you should be receiving if your RBC count was higher. So this results in low energy, which is fatigueness, fainting, and even heart failure, you guys. Heart failure is a characteristic of anemia from having low red blood cell count. Your heart thrives from the electrical interaction between magnetism and electricity. Like I said, the blood cells are magnetic receivers, okay? Metals are magnetic substances, okay? And the blood has a ferromagnetic liquid. The blood is a ferromagnetic liquid. It is an iron-based liquid. And its job, its primary function is to receive electrical signals. That's what we call photosynthesis in the sun, the circadian rhythm. Okay? We receive these electrical signals from the sun based upon our count of red blood cells. Okay? So the more red blood cells, the darker the skin, the more electrical. All right? And you don't have to worry about low fatigue because you have more energy. You don't have to worry about heart failure because your heart will pump more efficiently. Okay? And anemia is often caused by a shortage of iron. A shortage of iron simply could result in anemia. Okay? Iron is a part of the molecular formula for hemoglobin. So we must keep that in mind. We want to cater to the red blood cells. Now, mainstream science does teach you a good amount of information about, the red blood cells. But they are also somewhat biased about, the supremacy or the importance and the significance of red blood cells. And they try to uplift the importance of white blood cells, okay? Even though, everyone, has different biochemistry based on their genetics. So white blood cells does not even apply for every human, okay? So sickle cell anemia, right, in genetics is a disease. Red blood cells do not have their characteristic round shape. Okay, rather they are sickled shaped. That's why they call them sickled cells. Sickle cells, because they are sickled shaped. Okay, they are deprived of oxygen, and from the deprivation of oxygen comes deterioration of the tissues, and that's when you get the sickled cell shape. Okay. So they cannot move around through the circulatory system. So when the sickled shape comes into play, and that changes the structure of the cell, it makes it hard for those blood cells to move through the circulatory system. Okay, and this also could cause abnormalities, in sickness as well. So sickle cells also do not live nearly as long as normal red blood cells. Okay, so it is a cellular abnormality. Okay, so one of the reasons why I'm emphasizing on the importance of red blood cells is because this is something that is totally abandoned when it comes to immunology. Okay, individuals who have pure red blood cells have strong immune systems. Individuals who are greater in pigment have stronger immune systems. So why immunize? Why vaccinate these individuals? Okay, who don't need any assistance from any inorganic or synthetic man-made sources. This is complete interference in nature. Okay, so this is not even necessary. These are for individuals who have naturally occurring low immune defense. Okay, it's not for everybody. They don't tell you that, but when you look into genetics, we clearly see that some individuals have 2 antibodies, some individuals have 1, and some individuals have 0. So most likely, this immunology study is to help individuals who have low immune defense. This is what it's all about, brothers and sisters. If you don't have melanin, you don't have the magnetic properties to your body. Okay, you're not going to be as electrical. Okay, and that's going to cause other things to be jeopardized biologically. Okay, so melanin is a sign of a organic immune system. Okay, is a sign of certain cells to be present in the DNA. So just keep that in mind. So Carl Landsteiner. Oh, before we go to Carl Landsteiner, hemolytic disease of the newborn, HDN, is a blood problem in newborn babies. It occurs when the baby's red blood cells break down, right, at a faster rate than normal, and it is also called erythroblastosis fetalis. Erythroblastosis fetalis. So if you get a chance, try to write that down. Go check it out. It's dealing with an abnormality of the red blood cells. Hemolytic disease of the newborn. Okay, so the red blood cells, again, are very important to our health, So Carl Landsteiner, let's get into that. And Erwin Popper, discovered the polio virus, right, in 1908 by proving that it was not a bacterium, so they say, that caused the paralysis, but a much smaller entity. Okay, a virus. This is what they're saying is responsible. A virus is the smallest and simplest infectious agent known. Okay, so the virus is the bed for the bacterium. From the virus comes the bacterium. Okay, so in general, vaccines, consumption, and heritable genes are the real cause of continued sickness and disease. The antigens, the alleles, and the zygotes, gametes, okay, all of these are germ-based cells, acid, fungal, bacterial-based cells, okay? So if you don't have fungal, bacterial-based cells, and we went over germ theory, okay, a few weeks ago, I think 2 weeks ago, went over germ theory, and we understand that the germ is the root of disease. Okay, so if your biology is based upon germ cells, you are susceptible to disease, and you have no antibodies because of that. All right, now, that's why you see a lot of brothers and sisters down there at the blood bank donating their blood. You feel me? Because it is the impoverished community that these parasitic individuals they thrive off of. They depend on you for their very survival. And they may throw you $35, 45, 55, but it's not worth what you're doing for them. What you're doing for them is far greater than 35, 45, 55 bucks. Okay? But it is your antibodies that they are after because you have rich blood plasma. Okay? And the blood plasma makes up majority of the blood percentage. Okay? And it's responsible for your immune defense. So when they tell you that you make a donation and your plasma it will regenerate, it'll regenerate. But guess what? Your immune system will be weak until they regenerate because you don't have the same amount of antibodies that you once had. So these immune defenders are very valuable to individuals who have low immune defense. So in a nutshell, this is what immunology is all about, brothers and sisters. Genetics is hereditary. You're not going around just getting disease like that. You know what I'm saying? It can be, some diseases are contagious, but a lot of the times in these situations where, you got little babies, they got little babies coming up and getting the whooping cough and all of that. Matter of fact, we can go into that. Yeah, like the whooping cough, that is a genetic deficiency. That should never occur naturally to a baby. But some people, like I said, they have weaker immune systems than others. Some people have stronger immune systems. So it only makes logical sense, brothers and sisters, that we base immunology on your need of immune boosting. So if you need immune boosting, then you take vaccines. If you don't take it. Now, me personally, I don't even get sick that often. I don't even go to the hospital that often. You know what I'm saying? And I'm, for the most part, I be good. I don't even like the hospital like that because they don't really know what they're doing like that. You know what I'm saying? Get paid all that money, going to school for all them years to regurgitate foolishness. And that's the all it is, man. Because it's not making logical sense, brothers, and sisters. It's making no sense. Like the interaction between any liquid, solid, and gas is a chemical reaction. The chemicals are elementary. The chemical elements are elementary to physical matter. We are composed of chemical elements. When organisms decompose, they decompose of their elements, of the chemical elements. Okay, that's what we're made of. So it only makes sense to keep in mind biochemistry. This is who I am. You determine what medicine you're going to prescribe me based upon my biochemistry. Okay? And when they don't consider this fact, this is how people are harmed in modern medicine. You know what I'm saying? This and unfortunately, we just got to try to get we have to do something about it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we can't allow this to keep taking place, so we got to get knowledgeable, brothers and sisters. So let me see. Where we at right quick? Let me see. Yeah, so let's just go over a few more things right quick. A few more things, and we'll go ahead and wrap it on up. Yeah, man. Yeah, I like to give my doctors hell. If I go to the doctor if for my children, if it's for me or whatever, like I'm giving them hell, because if you claiming to be a professional, that should be no question you can't answer. Okay, you went to school for 6 years, 8 years, 10. There should be no medical question you cannot answer. Okay, so I give them no slack, no slack. You know what I'm saying? And I know a lot of their practices is just primitive. It's pseudo. It's politically biased against people of color, and they're harming people, man, by not giving us the things that they know is beneficial for melanated people. We don't have the same biochemistry as non-melanated people, so you can't prescribe us the same thing. You can't generalize the DNA like that. So let me see, man. So let's go over. So I think some of this stuff I went over the last time. Let's go over smallpox. So smallpox, right, was an infectious disease caused by one of two viruses variants, Virola major and Virola minor. Okay, so these smallpox is a part of this immune reaction of individuals who have low immune defense. Okay, they have low immune defense. It's like when somebody get the AIDS. When the immune system is broken down, when the RBC count gets too low, the body becomes susceptible to disease. From the common cold, a person can be killed from having no immune defense. And that's what happens when you have individuals who are born into the world and both of their mother and father are zygote biological donors. Okay? Because they're handing you genetics that are not good genetics. Okay? And whenever that happens, you are susceptible to disease. Like I said, AB blood types have no antibodies. A blood type has one, B has one. Okay, they both have one, but O has two. So if you're not the O blood type, you are not, you know what I'm saying, you're not the supreme. And that, ideally that's what you want to be, the original blood type. Okay. So anyway, let me see. Antigens are so-called proteins that are found on the surface of pathogens. Okay, they go hand in hand. The whooping cough is a bacteria, for example, you guys. Okay, it is a bacteria. With different antigens on the surface from the TB bacterium. All right, an antigen enters the body of the immune system and produces antibodies against it. Okay, so antigens can enter the immune system in the scenario of an individual who develops the whooping cough. Antigens are involved in that disease. Okay, antigens is the cause of that. Zygotes, which are germ cells, are mutant cells. Okay, abnormality, mutant cells. From mutant cells come genetic deficiencies. Okay, antigens and alleles are mutant cells. Okay, now in biology, it's clearly it's clear. All we got to do is don't be literal readers, don't be literal researchers, brothers and sisters. Be individuals of interpretation. Okay, is a more complex method of thinking, is a more complex thinking pattern. Okay, individuals who are more literal, they will never be able to piece things together or make connections, because they're looking for someone to point the finger and tell them exactly where to go and exactly what to do and exactly, interpretation is a part of human nature. It's all, at the end of the day, it's all about meaning. Okay, what do you mean? What does this research mean? Okay, and everything has to run concurrent, logic, and consistent. And if everything is consistent with nature, then I'm rocking with it. As the truth. You feel me? So that's what it is. So melanated people are biologically different, biologically superior when it comes to immunology. We have two antibodies, no antigens. Okay? And our RBCs, I'm going to bring it back around, is responsible for our concentration of skin pigment. The higher your RBC count, the darker your skin pigment. Okay? The more metal, the more metallic you are, the more susceptible you are to receiving electricity in the process of photosynthesis. Okay? So these individuals are, you know, the original blood group. Okay? So we're not African. We're not African American. Okay? We're not Native American. We're not none of those things. You are your genetic coding, your cells. Does this person have the same type of cells as me? If they do, then we share genetic heritage. Okay? DNA are biological ingredients to producing a specific result. Okay? When you want to whip something up in the kitchen, you put the ingredients together to make whatever you want to make. And whatever you make, the end result is based upon what you put in the ingredients. Okay? So the same thing with genetics. If you share the same cellular composition as me, we share the same genes. Our genes can be traced back to the same source. People who have alleles, antigens, have mutant cells. Their cells mutated, and that can also be traced to a specific point. Okay? So, in considering the science, the answer is right in front of us. You feel me? We are the cream de la crop. That's us. You feel me? The children of the sun. We right in proper alignment with nature. You know what I'm saying? So it's a gift. It's a blessing. And I thank you, brothers and sisters, for showing your support to me, Brother Omni Omnis, and OmniVision EDU, and the rest of the Galactic family, and all of the brothers and sisters out there who may have children who go to the doctor and they feel like these people are not in their best interest. I advise you to try to do some research whenever you can. I know life can be pretty hectic and be busy. Even with myself. But take the time to research, take the time to get educated and get knowledgeable in certain areas. So you don't have to depend on anyone else to do it. And it's better to learn how to fix a car than get a mechanic that had to fix it every time. You feel me? So we got to get knowledgeable in these areas. And again, with brother, Omni Amanashi, with me. And on behalf of the whole OmniVision EDU, I thank you guys for your time and energy. Love and light, 360-degree cycles. We'll be doing this again Sunday, on Sunday Soul Sessions. I'm going to try to open up another day of the week for 2 live streams. So I'm going to try to get the 2 live streams a week jumping off. And we're going to be building on the scientific and historical literacy for African people. Okay? Now, being the original human beings, we are made of that universal intelligence, black people, and it is in our nature to be intelligent. Matter of fact, that's our greatest advantage as a life form. Out of all life forms, we, those who are not RH positive, who are full human, are the most intelligent life forms on the planet. Okay? And that's what it is, just period. So if y'all rocking with Brother Omnis, like I said, tune in Sunday at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern. And we'll be building every Sunday. And we're going to get the other live stream jumping off. But until that time, peace and blessings, love and light, 360-degree motion. One universal love, one universal science, one unified field. Peace and blessings. Ashe.